What's the deal, YouTube? It's your boy Tank Be Chopping, and I'm coming at y'all with another haircut tutorial. So what we finna do on this cut, as you can see, he's got the comb over, so we're just gonna trim a little bit off the top. We're gonna take the size down to a 3.5, and then we're gonna taper him up. So first things first, I'm just saturating the top of his hair, get it ready for cutting. So I'm actually just combing the hair, basically the way his hair is gonna lay, so I can get a rough idea of how everything's gonna look, and then basically just see how much I'm gonna take off the top. Alright, so I'm gonna start with my first initial guideline for the top of his head. And the amount of hair I cut right here is basically gonna set the tone basically for the rest of his hair. So I'm just taking off a small amount, and I'm just gonna use that as a guideline for the rest of the top of his hair. So I'm making sure I'm grabbing a little bit from the previous section just to make sure it, just to use it as a guide, just so I can see how much I need to cut off for the rest of his hair. So as you can see, I'm just grabbing a little bit at a time, and I'm using that guideline just to make sure all of it is straight and even. I don't know why I said straight, but you know what I'm saying. Make sure all of it is even. So now I'm just going over it one more time, making sure it's all even. Combing the hair again, just checking my work. So cutting the top doesn't need to be harder than what it is, guys. I know a lot of people, they don't like to do shears on top. They say it's too hard or it takes too long. Man, it really only takes about 5 minutes, if that. And once you get into the groove of it, you know, it becomes really easy. But you do want to make sure you're checking your work. So I do tend to go over mine a lot on top just to make sure it's all even. I don't want to give him a lot of peaks and valleys, especially with the comb over. Sometimes when you do that with the comb over, you can actually see it. Once they comb it over, you can see hair laying on top of other hair, and it just looks longer than other spaces, if that makes sense. So that's something I didn't want to do. So as you can see now, I'm coming the opposite direction, just basically just to make sure it's all even. And I'm just being a little extra right now, you know. I just want to make sure it's as even as can be. So I probably didn't even need to really cut much. I just did it because, you know, I probably felt that it needed it. Alright, so now I got my number 3 on my Babyliss Clippers. I have my clipper open, which makes it a 3.5, and I'm just coming right up to that parietal ridge, and as you can see, I'm flicking out once I get there, and I'm dropping the fade slightly in the back. He likes to keep that crown area nice and full. A lot of people cut that off, you know, they'll go all the way up. On this particular client, we're keeping that a little full, so I'm flicking out and I'm dropping it down in the back. That way we can keep that area full. So now I got my number 4 guard. Clipper is closed, and I'm just coming up and flicking out. So his hair actually fades in pretty good with just flicking the hair out, you know, not necessarily having to do a lot of clipper over comb work. You could do clipper over comb in this instant, but I'm just using that 4, and I'm just guiding the clipper. I'm really not pushing it onto his head too much. I'm just guiding it and coming up. That way it leaves it nice and faded. So now I got my Babyliss Trimmers, and as you can see, I'm just taking all that little excess hair off of his face. I decided to go ahead and start with his neck lineup, with a lineup behind the ear. So I start putting that line in, and I'm curving it over the ear, trying not to come too high into the hairline. And there's no actual reason for me doing this. I just had the trimmers in my hand, so I said, you know, I might as well go ahead and knock it out right now. So now I'm setting my initial bald guideline with my Babyliss trimmers. And we're actually going to be giving him, you know, like a low to mid taper. We're really not going too high on this taper. So as you can see, there's my first bald guideline. Now I'm just taking off all that excess hair. And now I got my rose gold Babyliss Shaver, and I'm just taking off all that hair that I took off with the trimmer, just making sure I get it down to the skin. Now I got my cordless Andes Masters. I got my clipper open, and I'm setting my next guideline in. And I'm just coming up about maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. I don't want to go too high on this taper, so I'm trying to keep it conservative and stay a little lower when it comes to doing my guidelines. So as you can see, I came up about 1/2 inch to 3/4. I closed my clipper halfway, and I'm going right under what I just did, using a slight flick out motion. And now my clipper is completely closed, and I'm tapping that bottom line. And now I'm just doing some small detail work, adjusting that lever and just tapping where I feel it needs to be hit up at. Now I got my number 1 guard on there. Clipper is all the way open. And I'm going to be coming up about another 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, using a slight flick out motion. And I'm using that fade brush to make sure I brush away all that excess debris. Close my clipper all the way, and I'm coming up right underneath what I just did. Now I got my number 2 guard all the way open, and I'm coming up and flicking out. And for the most part, this should fade in most of the taper, well, at least the top part of the taper. But I am going to adjust that lever and start doing some detail work after this. So as you can see, I'm coming behind the ear. You know, we don't like that bulk behind the ear, so we cut that down also. So now I'm closing my clipper, and I'm coming up right below what I just did. And as you can see, I'm still using that flick out motion. And now this is my number 3 guard, and it is all the way open. And the reason why I'm going over it with the number 3 open is the same thing I did with the Babyliss Clippers. Only difference is I feel the number 3 guard on the Andes is a little shorter, so I decided to tap the top of that taper. And now I have my clipper closed, and I'm just getting rid of some of them dark spots. So now I'm going to be doing some slight detail work, and when I fade up first, and then I'm going to come back and basically go backwards from what I just did. So this is my number 2 guard open, doing some small detail work, and now it's closed, doing some more detail work. And you can be as detailed as you feel you need to be. Some people say I'm a little extra when it comes to doing this detail work, but I like to do it because I feel that's what separates most barbers from other barbers. So now I got my number 1 guard, the clipper is open. And as you can see, I'm just using the corner of that blade. Reason why is I don't want to take too much hair off. I just want to tap where it needs to be hit up at. And I'm just adjusting that lever as needed to get rid of them dark spots. Now here's my 0 guard or my 1/16, and I'm just tapping the bottom of that taper, making sure this taper comes out nice and blurry. And then here's my number 2 guard again, just doing some more detail work to get it, basically to finish this taper off. So now I'm just using the blade open, no guard on there. And remember, I'm using the side of that clipper, the side of that blade, just to get rid of some of them dark spots. Now I got my Babyliss Trimmers, and I'm starting on his edge up. And I'm just trying to make sure he's got a nice straight line up. Brushing off all that excess debris. You don't want the hair just sitting on your client's face like that. And remember, we want to give them as straight of an edge up as possible without pushing it too far back. So you really want to just start by tapping it, and then if you need to go back a little further, you can feel free. Now I'm putting the hard part in, so as you can see, I'm pushing this hair over and I'm just tapping that line. Want to give them a nice straight line, make sure it's the same thickness throughout the whole line. And now this part of the video is sped up. I'm doing the same thing to the back that I did to the left side and to the right side. I didn't record the right side, but I did taper it in, but now I'm just doing the back. So I'm starting off with my initial guideline, taking it down with my Babyliss Trimmers. Then I'm going to shave all that hair down with the shaver. So here is my clipper open. I'm coming up on the back a little more than I did on the side. I'm actually coming up about 3/4 of an inch to an inch, just because on the back I like to taper it up a little higher. I know a lot of people do low tapers in the back. I like to do mine, you know, mid to high, just because I feel that it makes the haircut last a little longer, and I just think it looks better. That's just my personal preference. I do have some clients that tend to ask for a lower taper in the back, but if they do not ask, if they just say they want to taper it up, I probably will take the back a little higher, just because that's just what I feel looks best. And if you haven't done so, guys, I'd really appreciate it if y'all subscribe to the channel. I don't know if y'all watched my last video or not, but if you did, I said that I'm going to be giving away some trimmers or some clippers when I reach 1,000 followers. I'm almost there, so y'all make sure to share this video with everybody and just let people know to give me a subscribe one time, and I greatly appreciate it, guys. If you haven't done so, please smash that like button. If you have any questions or comments, remember, y'all can leave them down in the comments below, and I will respond to them as soon as I can. I respond to like 98% of my comments. There might be one that I overlook or I just forget to respond to, but for the most part, I try to respond to all my comments, guys. So see, on this part of the taper, I think a lot of people would think that this is too high, but once it's done and lined up and everything, it looks good, man. Like, I think it's a good call. This is my personal preference. If y'all think I should have kept it lower, y'all let me know, and I appreciate the feedback. And as you can see, now I'm just doing some detail work. Remember, I like to do my steps all the way up into the desired length, and then I come back down. So basically, I faded the taper all the way up into the 3.5, and then I started going back downwards and get rid of them dark spots, get rid of some lines that I see, just making sure it looks good. Alright, guys, so now what I'm finna do right here is I'm actually doing some shear over comb with my thinning shears. Basically, I'm just getting rid of some of that bulk that was left due to the fading that I did with the clippers, and this is getting rid of some of that bulk and not really taking any length off. But what it is doing, it is helping basically marry the sides into the top of the hair. And if you're curious about these thinning shears are actually from Hattori Hanzo. So yeah, man, I get all my shears from Hattori Hanzo. That's who I rock with. So now y'all can see I'm razoring his edge up, and And I'm just basically going over everything I did with the trimmers. I normally do a hot towel, but at this point in time, I think I forgot to put one in my hot towel warmer, so I'm just taking off the shaving cream with the paper towel and, you know, shaving them down. Sorry, Eric, don't be mad at me for this. You know, I try to do my clients right every time. This is just, I forgot, man, my bad. So like I said, I normally do hot towels, guys, and I do that just because I feel it gives the clients a better experience. It is not something that you need to do, but I will recommend it if basically you're trying to up your skill as a barber, or just basically make yourself look or feel better. You know, like the clients enjoy it. You know, you can ask any of my clients, they really like that hot towel. So I do it because it's like a little premium service that they get when they're in the chair. Remember, when you're using the razor, guys, you want to make sure you stretch that skin tight. Try to hold that razor as flat as possible to make sure you don't you limit the nicks, or basically you don't do any nicks. You know, you want to obviously try not to nick your client, but it happens. But if you stretch that skin back and leave that razor flat, you have less of a chance of doing that. So this is the cut, guys. Y'all let me know what y'all think. We did a 3.5 on the sides, trim the top, put the hard part in, and we tapered them up. Remember, guys, if y'all like this video, please like it, leave a comment down in the comment section, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And subscribe one time for your boy. I appreciate y'all, YouTube. Until next time.